Today on the show, you and I talk about robot brothels, Jeffrey the Giraffe, and tacos.
Can't you see? Everyone! They're here already! You're next!
Let's go!
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born!
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So if you live in Houston and listen to the show on 950 AM KPRC, first and foremost, thank you so much. Houston is a city that is incredibly special and important to me. I mean, in many ways, it's home. I'm not from Houston originally, but I lived there a good chunk of the year. And then, Houston was where I got my start in radio. Started doing weekend overnights on 94.5 The Buzz, Houston's Rock and Alternative, where I'm still on. I'm the afternoon guy there. And man, Houston's the absolute greatest. Houston is such an incredible city in terms of how engaged people are. Houston was a town that was described to me when I was getting ready to move out there from New York City as a town where if you have something to offer, people don't care who you are. You'll find a place to ply that trade. If you're willing to work hard, if you've got some ingenuity, if you've got some creativity, if you want to put some skills that you have that make you unique to work, Houston is a great place to do that. And man, I couldn't agree more. I remember getting my first job in radio, never having done radio before, having been in a band. And I remember the guy who hired me, the program director at the time, an awesome guy called Vince, said, I don't really see radio on your resume, but I got to tell you, this demo you have is really, really good. And, well, if someone's good and we have space for them, then we're going to put them in. So do your thing. Work hard. We're all counting on you. Don't F it up. And from weekend overnights, I weaseled my way up to weekend during the day. And then I weaseled my way up to being the guy that occasionally got to fill in for other people when they were sick or on vacation. And then I managed to snag myself the nighttime gig. And now I'm the afternoon drive guy there. And my current program director, awesome dude called Elliot, told me that The Buzz in Houston is the most listened to alternative rock radio station in the country. And he was like, you are the single most listened to afternoon drive time alternative rock radio jock in all of America. How do you feel about that? And I said, I feel pretty freaking good, especially because this is a station that gave me a shot when I'd never, ever done any radio whatsoever. And man, I get down on my hands and knees every single day when I go on the radio and give thanks first. Well, I mean, I don't actually get down on my hands and knees, but I go in there with just so much gratitude because, Houston and the people in it gave me a chance to make something of myself, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say. And for that reason, Houston will always hold a really special place in my heart. The other amazing thing about Houston is that if you're on in the afternoon, it's a chance to have some really good conversations with people listening. I mean, first and foremost, people in Houston are warm and they are gregarious and they are loving and they are helpful and they'll give you the shirt off their back. I'll never forget during Harvey, there was this picture, and I think one of my talk radio compatriots in Houston, Michael Berry, tweeted it out, and it went viral over and over again. And it was a line of people in Houston that stretched outside of a building and down a block and wrapped around that block. And like I said, this was during Harvey. This is when a good chunk of Houston was underwater. And he said, this is what makes Houston special. These people are standing in line during a disaster. Do you know why they're standing in line? They're not standing in line because they're waiting for help. They're not standing in line waiting for some sort of assistance. They're not standing in line waiting for anything to be given to them. They're standing in line because they're waiting to volunteer. Some of these people have lost absolutely everything, and they are standing in line because they want to help others. They are lining up for the opportunity to help others when some of them have already lost everything. That's Houston. And it's one of the many reasons. Sorry, I actually get a little choked up when I talk about that. But that's one of the many reasons that I feel that Houston's a really, really special place. But I digress. if you are listening on 950 AM, Houston KPRC, then there's a very good chance that you've heard this story because it's the talk of the town. Everybody in Houston knows about this one. And you know what? It's made some national news because it's pretty incredible. But if you're not familiar with the robot brothel situation in Houston, let's rewind a little bit. Let's back up just a skosh because, all right, yeah, you could say that I'm playing for laughs because robot brothel right off the bat sounds pretty freaking funny, doesn't it? But there's some really interesting and serious ramifications to the way that local government in Houston is treating this. And look, Houston, one of the reasons people love to come to Texas and cities like Houston. One of the reasons that Houston is growing and growing and growing. One of the reasons that there's jobs galore in Houston, and one of the reasons that businesses go to Houston is that it's a great place to start a business. There's a lot of tools given to an entrepreneur, someone that wants to start a business, someone that wants to expand a business in Houston. There's some deregulation that makes it easier for the little guy or girl with the big idea to watch their dreams come to fruition. There are opportunities. And like I said, people embrace your talent. People embrace what you've got to offer in Houston. If you've got a special talent, a skill, an ability to be creative, any of the above, well, then Houston's a good place to build that into something. It really, really is. And like I said, a lot of people come to Houston because of the freedom you get to start a business, to run a business. Especially a small business, an entrepreneurial situation has a better chance of flourishing in a city like Houston than lots of other parts of America and lots of other parts of the world. So the regulations that are, well, you wouldn't really call them regulations, but the local government attempting to control this robot brothel and their patrons, even though legally they cannot, is a bit of a red flag to me. It's a bit of a red flag to a lot of people in Houston, and it's a bit of a red flag that the rest of the country should take note of. And there's part of this story that, to me, is a very scary part of a very slippery slope. We'll get into the details of the robot brothel and how what's going on could be an affront to your freedom next.
Real radio.
104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So, all right. You say robot brothel, and obviously all sorts of sensible questions come up. If you are in Houston and you listen on 950 AM KPRC, Houston's more stimulating talk radio, then there's a very good chance you already know all about the robot brothel. But for people listening in other parts of the country, let's back things up a little bit, shall we? This past month just gone by, a Toronto-based company called Kinky Dolls announced plans to open a Houston branch. Now, this, technically speaking, is not a brothel because, well, these aren't prostitutes. These are robots. These are dolls. This is a place where adult love dolls, quote unquote, constructed of synthetic skin and highly articulated skeletons would be available. Now, this is to, by the way, rent before you buy. I don't know why. I don't know why it's creepy to have, well, I'm first and foremost, the idea of having relations with an adult love doll. That to me is creepy in and of itself. I just can't, hey, not judging. If it's for you, and that's great. And wow, I'm so glad that you are able to walk down that particular avenue of pleasure, because I am not. It will always be closed to me because I just don't think I could bring myself to do that. But the idea of doing that with another highly articulated love doll that someone else has just done that with a couple hours before, ew, which is strange because, I mean, you assume, for the most part, unless you've both saved yourself for marriage, that anybody as an adult that you are going to get busy with is going to be someone that has done it with someone else before. There's every reasonable expectation that that is the case. But for some reason, getting busy with a love doll that someone else has used before just seems entirely more of an ew. Does that make sense? I can't imagine that this would be something people would be interested in, but apparently they have proof of concept, it works, and they want to put one in Houston. Now, if you are in Houston, you probably know exactly where this is. Their chosen storefront is at Richmond and Chimney Rock. And city inspectors stopped work on their chosen storefront because they said a renovation job had begun there without the proper permits in place. But here's the bottom line. Even though no laws are being broken by this, even though Texas, and in particular Houston, are places that celebrate freedom, local government is just really trying to find any way, shape, or form they can to stop it from existing there. And the mayor there, a guy called Mayor Turner, is pushing city council to prevent the business from opening at that location entirely. Like I said, they've stopped work on the storefront, saying that a renovation job had begun there before the proper permits were in place. Now, traditional sexually oriented businesses like strip clubs have long been prevented from operating within 1,500 feet of churches, schools, daycares, parks, residential neighborhoods, all that sort of thing. The city-owned Anderson Park is just a few hundred feet away from Kinky Doll's proposed storefront. And the portion of the ordinance Turner wants to revise addresses adult arcades, where customers view adult content using an arcade device. You ever been to one of these? I guess it's sort of like a video peep show thing. I don't know. Again, an avenue of pleasure that I've never walked down because ew. Anyways, I'm not familiar with it, but that's the deal. The city-owned Anderson Park, just a few hundred feet away from where Kinky Dolls wants to set up shop. And like I said, the portion of the ordinance that Mayor Turner of Houston wants to revise addresses these adult arcades where customers view content that is adult in nature using an arcade device. Now, the council wants to go ahead and amend the definition of arcade device to include not just machines displaying videos, but also, and I quote, anthropomorphic devices or objects, and they would prohibit entertainment with one or more persons using an arcade device on the premises. This is basically going, wait a second, this is a robot brothel. We can't have that. Oh, legally they can? Well, we got to change some laws quick, smart before this is actually a thing. Entertainment with one or more persons using an arcade device on the premises would be prohibited. A spokesman for the mayor says, because the proposed ordinance change is not aimed at any particular location, it was drafted without regard to Kinky Dolls. That's what they're saying. Sure. Basically, it gives local government the right to shut down stuff that is legal at their discretion. And this is where a lot of people are going, don't know about this because today it's sex robots, tomorrow it's Chick-fil-A or whatever the hell it is. Now, that's one thing. That's government going, oh, God, really? That's gross. We find this immoral or disgusting, or we don't think that's right, and we're going to try and weasel a legal change. We're going to try and weasel a change to the letter of the law so that we can go on and have our sex robot business moved the hell out. We don't want that in Houston. That's one thing. This is a whole other kettle of fish. This is where I start to get really freaked out. This is where I start to get really freaked out about politicians and their abuse of power and the things that they propose doing and the way that they lose sight of the fact that your tax dollars, that hard-earned money that you make with your blood, sweat, and tears, you give a big hunk of it every single year so that it pays these guys. This is where these folks kind of seem to forget that they work for us. Because this is just one of the sleaziest things I have ever heard of a politician ever doing. The threat of this alone is just, it's so uncool. There's a Houston city councilman, guy called Greg Travis, and he's saying that if this new robot brothel gets up and running, well, he's going to publicly shame you. Government official is basically threatening his own citizens with Big Brother and bullying. Councilman Travis has said that he's got cameras ready, and he's going to seek to shame any person visiting Kinky Dolls. Now, religious officials oppose the brothel, saying that it would increase human sex trafficking. Yeah, robots aren't humans. I mean, I understand where you're drawing that line, but there are plenty of strip clubs in Houston, and I would hazard a guess that if you would to if you wanted to figure out something that would cause a noted uptick in human sex trafficking, I would imagine a place where humans are involved would probably be a better place to start. Robots, like I said, not humans. Anyways, there's this guy, Davis Gamboa, as well. He's a director of the local religious organization, Elijah Rising. He claimed before the city council that as men accustomed to using the human-like sex objects could transfer the behavior to real people, this is a bad idea. Councilman Travis said that he can work with members of the community to fight against the robot brothel. And so, while the city passed an updated ordinance that effectively blocked the robot brothel from opening, what he's ready to do is just beyond the pale. Morally speaking, it's absolutely freaking repugnant. Houston City Councilman Greg Travis has threatened law-abiding Houstonians who are thinking about visiting this new robot brothel, saying, "I've already got cameras lined up that whenever, if ever, this occurs, I'll be after it 24/7 with cameras filming everybody who goes in and everybody who goes out. And we will post it on social media so people can see who is using this." That's the part that's creepy. That's the part that's scary. That's the part where you want to pump the brakes and take a very close look at what it is to be free. When a politician says, if we can't shut you down by legal means, we're going to social media shame your customers with a gross invasion of their privacy. Like I said, if this doesn't sound like a bit of an Orwellian nightmare to you and a bit of a slippery slope, or at least the beginning of it, it is. And it's something that we should all watch very carefully.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radioland. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on.
2, 3, 4.
National Taco Day.
I'm kind of in the mood for tacos.
Every day is Taco Day.
Can I get my tacos?
Delicious. Making some fish tacos.
All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Delicious and adorable.
Beer and tacos.
Taco Day.
Woo! Beer and tacos.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Licking a stack of taco shells.
Beer and friggin' tacos.
And I love them, and I'll take care of them.
We love them too much.
Music is awesome, and the tacos are for real.
Yes, indeed. Today, I hope you got free tacos, because today was National Taco Day. Yeah. But in a way, isn't it every day that is National Taco Day? The good news is that a bunch of big Mexican food chains gave away free tacos today, except for Taco Bell. The nerve of some people. Their Taco Day promotion is that they're selling gift sets where you can pay $5 to buy 4 tacos for a friend. I kind of get that, but you know, your name's Taco Bell. You hang your hat on the tacos. Everybody else is giving away the tacos. You should give away the tacos. Attica, I think. Anyways, if you've been mainlining free tacos all day, here are some interesting stats in honor of National Taco Day. Apparently, more than 95% of Americans say they like tacos. 71% prefer tacos over burritos. What would you rather have, a taco or burrito? This, to me, is really an argument of portability. Because, like a burrito, as long as it's well wrapped, if it's one of those that holds together, that's, to me, something that is meant to be eaten on the run or standing up or what have you. Tacos, they're going to fall all over the place. This is what I like to do. I like to eat tacos, and then I like to have a tortilla underneath my taco as I'm eating it, because I know I'm going to be dropping so much assorted taco meat and filling that I'm going to have a burrito afterwards, just based on the things that I dropped out of my tacos. You're welcome. That's a pro tip from a fat kid. 3/4 of us eat tacos at least once a month. How often do you eat tacos? Oh, man. I'm trying to remember the last time I had tacos. Besides today, National Taco Day. I mean, free tacos were everywhere. Was I going to say no? Hell no. I was not going to say no to free tacos. This is not a thing that I would ever do. No. I think the last time I had tacos before today was... Oh, I made tacos a little while ago. Oh, man, they were good. I had turkey meat lying around the house. Well, I mean, it was in the fridge. It wasn't just lying around the house, but... I had turkey meat, and I actually made turkey tacos. So easy, so simple, so delicious. I had some taco shells, I had some turkey meat. Bazinga. Dinner was served, and it was awesome. By the way, I just like turkey. I'm not one of those people that eats turkey because it's a healthy thing to do. However, I have noticed that really turkey to me is, and you might disagree with this, this is where we could have a divergence of opinions with regard to the greasiness that you appreciate in your tacos and your taco meat. But to me, a turkey taco is really good because I guess turkey meat is a little naturally lower in fat. So when you eat a turkey taco, I like it a lot better. Beef obviously tastes like something. Turkey tastes like something. But ultimately, tacos taste like taco. It tastes like taco seasoning. So the type of ground meat that you've got going into your taco, to me, is a little bit irrelevant. And for that reason, I appreciate the turkey because you put the taco seasoning in it, tastes like tacos. It's delicious, obviously, but it's way less greasy, which means it doesn't drip onto your hand. It doesn't soften the shell, because I really enjoy the whole crunchiness aspect of tacos. I'll take a crunchy taco over a soft taco any day. It's just a personal taste thing. Again, like the less greasy turkey meat. But yeah, pro tip number 2 is that when you're eating tacos, try turkey meat tacos if you haven't already, because to me, it helps with the structural integrity of the taco and gives you a better taco eating experience. I know. There's a lot of people that tell me eating non-beef tacos is something that officially qualifies me as being a bit of a catabounder and a Philistine, but I like it, and I recommend you give it a go too. Then again, I'm acting like eating turkey meat tacos is this bold new idea. I guess it's not that bold of a new idea. A lot of people have been doing it for a very long time, but it was a new idea to me when I tried it a little while ago for the first time. And ever since then, it's been turkey all the way when I'm making tacos. Why? Because I appreciate the maintenance of the structural integrity of the crunchy taco shell. The most popular taco meats are, in order, carne asada, barbacoa, chicken, pork, and chorizo. See, turkey's not in there at all. I think people are missing the boat with the turkey taco, which for some reason sounds dirty. The least popular meat to put in your taco is lengua, also known as cow tongue. You ever had that? Oh, man. Once when I was a kid. Never again. I mean, look, here's the thing. I appreciate the more responsible approach to eating animal products that is represented by using every part of the animal. Like, don't waste. If you're going to end something else's life, then don't be wasteful of it. So there are those people that say, hey, organ meat, things like tripe, things of that nature. It's a more responsible way to be a meat eater, to use every last part of the animal. It's kind of interesting. What's interesting? A lot of people, and this is a bit of an aside. How did we get on this? Cow tongue taco? Oh, yeah. I tried cow tongue once when I was a kid. I was in France. I grew up in England, and my family went to France for a little bit, which, by the way, you can take the train over there. It's not that big of a deal. Whenever I talk to people about having gone to like France or Spain or Italy or something like that when I was a kid, everyone's like, oh, fancy. And it's like if you live in New York and go on vacation in Florida. That's what it's like. But I tried cow tongue meat once when I was in France as a kid, and I sort of promised myself I'd never do it again. And then actually at an Asian restaurant a little while ago, I tried cow tongue, and it wasn't as bad. It was like heavily seasoned, but it wasn't as bad. But it was weird. Like I could feel little bumps on it, and I was just like, that's taste buds, isn't it? That's what that is. That's, yeah. So tongue meat, not something I'm a fan of. And the average taco eater, not so much either. Apparently it's the least popular form of taco, using lengua. But what were we saying? Oh yeah, hunters. It's really interesting. A lot of people who have a moral problem with the idea of eating meat look at hunters and go, how could you? You're killing this thing for sport, and then you're eating it. What? That's just barbaric. I do eat meat. I'm not a vegetarian. I'm not a vegan. But the idea that as a recreational activity, they're going out and killing an animal, I'm not okay with that. Now, here's the thing. I don't know too many hunters, but those that I do know seem infinitely more conscientious and responsible than people that do eat meat but don't hunt. Just because, the process through which they got this, they were aware of the taking of a life. They think it's part of the circle of life, but they didn't just have food prepared for them on the table at a restaurant. They didn't eat veal. They didn't eat liver. They didn't eat these animal products that are not harvested in a humane way. And do their very best to block out the consequences of their actions and where they came from. Most of my friends who hunt, like Randall Reeder, who's been on the show a bunch of times, good buddy of mine. He's an actor. He was in Deadpool. He was in Grandma's Boy. He was in Deadpool 2. He's that guy. He was Big Bob in Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay. You know who I'm talking about, and you probably have heard him on the show. But he hunts, and he is, like I said, unbelievably aware of where every last piece of meat comes from. And he uses every last piece of the animal when he does this. And you could argue that killing something is not a respectful thing to do for it, but I would argue that the way he goes through it is at least that much more aware than people that are just willing to order meat and have it show up on their plate in front of them without thinking of the consequences of the food they're putting in their mouth. Now, if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, or if you abstain from meat for those reasons, that's a whole different thing. But I always find that hunters are that much more in tune with the cost of what it is they're eating. And for that reason, that much more conscientious about doing that sort of thing. And for that reason, I would imagine that a hunter is that much more likely to eat the unpopular lengua taco. Happy Taco Day!
Most every day you're waiting to get washed away. Radio.
Now, more AD on the radio.
Oh man, did you see? Toys R Us might not be totally dead. Toys R Us could still be a thing. Man, if you are like me and every other kid that grew up going to Toys R Us, seeing that picture of Jeffrey the giraffe in an empty Toys R Us as they were getting ready to shut up shop, ooh, that hit you right in the gut. You know, and I get it. I understand. I really do. I understand why a company like Toys R Us and all brick and mortar businesses might be things of the past, relics of a bygone era, ready to go the way of the retail dodo. I mean, look, if you're like me, what would you rather do? Would you rather get in your car, drive to a store, deal with parking, deal with people who, let's be real here, are the worst? Go into a store, hunt around on shelves, buy something, schlep it out to your parking lot, put it in the car, deal with traffic on the way back, deal with more people who are, of course, the worst, get it home, and have to deal with getting it out of your car and into your home, no matter what it is you're buying. Would you rather do that, or would you rather, from the comfort of your couch, while watching TV in your underwear, covered in Cheeto dust crumbs, order something on your phone and have it show up at your door in a matter of minutes? I'll take option B every single time. But at the same time, you feel that sad pang of regret when these things go out of business. Bookstores, when that happened, that was such a bummer for me. I mean, I know bookstores weren't libraries, but when I was a kid, I used to love going to bookstores when I was a kid during the summertime. They were always air conditioned and you could read. No one would really give you a hard time. It was just kind of what you did. Bookstores were fantastic. And I feel like you walked into a bookstore and you were presented with all these incredible options of things that could fill your young mind. And I really like that. I like the magic of walking into a bookstore when I was a kid. That was super cool. And I'm sad that kids growing up won't get that. But, you know, it is what it is. A, who wants to cart around a bunch of books? Answer, not me. You know, it actually took me a while. It took me a while to get into the idea of reading on a device. Do you do that? I know so many people. I have this conversation with folks all the time, even people that are young enough to where the digital age shouldn't be that much of a leap for them. It's one thing to talk to a guy in his 30s, 40s, or 50s, or a woman of that age as well, and go, do you read on Kindle? And have them go, no, I got to hold the book in my hands. I have to feel the print on the page. I have to have the whole experience, the smell of the paper, all that sort of stuff. That's how I like to read. And I get that. I do. It's a whole sort of olfactory experience, and I understand that. And I understand that especially with people that are older. But with people that are younger, people that have grown up in the digital era, people that have grown up not with tapes, records, and CDs, but have instead grown up streaming things or listening to MP3s and not carting around massive collections of music. It all exists on your phone or your iPod or your computer or whatever the case may be. I meet people that are that age that go, no, I can't read on a Kindle. I can't read on my device. And look, manufacturers of these sorts of things, e-readers, are very aware of this. Because you don't need an e-reader, but some people like that device that feels like a book to put in their hands, and it kind of looks like it could be the printed page. And I do get the desire to have something that is resistant to the sun so you can read outside during the summertime. That's what lots of people like to do. And, well, that's all good. But I only recently got into the idea of reading on a device as opposed to reading a book. And it happened during a flight. I was traveling to see some family over Christmas, and I'd forgotten to bring my books, and I was just like, damn it, I like to read. Christmas vacation is pretty much the only chance I get to read the way I like to read. I really like to read, and I forgot my books. What am I going to do? And then I was like, oh, hey, the vast majority of P.G. Woodhouse's work is now in the public domain, and you can get it for free on Amazon. I don't know. I can't be bothered to read. All right, I can't get over the hurdle of reading on a device, especially not my phone. I don't even have one of those e-reader things that mimics the appearance and feel of a book. nah. But I was just so bored out of my skull that I downloaded a bunch of books. And this is while I was traveling. I'm not saying that seeing my family over the holidays is boring, but I was bored doing the traveling part, and I was bored, trying to fall asleep at night. So I was like, I'm just going to read on my phone. And from there on in, I was like, what was I thinking? This is the absolute best. I have entire libraries in the palm of my hand. I can read any book that I want to. I never have to bother with the idea of going to a bookstore ever again. And so for that reason, I get it. I understand why bookstores have gone the way of the retail dodo. It's a thing. But it doesn't mean I'm not filled with a pang of sadness when it happens. And it doesn't mean that, it wasn't a bit of a gut wrencher when Toys R Us closed down, and we all saw that unbelievably depressing photo of Jeffrey the giraffe. But like I said, the interesting news is Toys R Us might not be totally dead. It could come back. How so? Full story after we get into the events of today. Let's check out what's going on in the news, shall we? Louis C.K. Did you see this? Louis C.K. was greeted warmly by a crowd at another surprise stand-up gig not so long ago. He's sort of being allowed to come back. And we don't know. He's doing surprise stand-up gigs, meaning he's showing up at places and doing a set. He's not putting a date on sale and trying to get people to buy tickets. That's a whole different kettle of fish. But when he's shown up to these things, people have been, for the most part, happy to see him. Apparently, he did not address any of the scandal involving the Me Too situation and the fact that he used his power and influence within the comedy industry to put females in a position where they felt obligated to watch him. As George Costanza's mom said to him, treat his body like an amusement park. Or as the rest of the cast of Seinfeld said, not be master of his domain. So there was that. Louis C.K. came back again, and he was greeted warmly by the crowd at another surprise stand-up gig. Most of them were probably just relieved that his microphone was the only thing in his hand. And you know what? I'm also going to go out on a limb and guess that if Louis C.K. did a stand-up gig, people might have clapped, but no one wanted to shake his hand. Oh, we talked about this on the show the other day. Brett Kavanaugh reportedly got into a bar fight after a UB40 concert with two Yale friends in 1985. They thought they were fighting with Allie, the lead singer of UB40. Which begs the question, do we want a UB40 fan on the Supreme Court? Kavanaugh has denied the claim, stating that he likes beer, not red wine. Yeah, you're welcome for that one. Although, there's been all this brouhaha about UB40. Who would have seen that one coming? And I actually watched the video for that song the other day. And in it, the lead singer of the band is depicted as being sad in an 80s video sort of way and drinking heavily. But he's drinking beer in the video. Even he couldn't bring himself to drink red wine. It wasn't manly enough for the lead singer of UB40. And we all know how manly the lead singer of UB40 is. Brett Kavanaugh will not teach his course at Harvard Law School this January. He has, however, enrolled, I believe, in a microbrewing class. Donald Trump reportedly told Michael Cohen to get a restraining order against Stormy Daniels in February to keep her from talking to the press. Well, that's a switch. Trump wanting Stormy to keep her mouth shut? That's got to be a new one. President Trump said it's a very scary time for young white men in America. If you're old and orange, however, freaking awesome. Oh, man. All right, before we run out of time, let's talk a little bit about the Toys R Us situation. Toys R Us might not be totally dead. It's already back. There's food in my fridge that outlasted the Toys R Us retirement. Some of the investors who own a big piece of Toys R Us are planning to keep all of the assets after all. Instead of selling them off, they want to reboot as a new chain called Jeffrey's Toy Box. Hey, if they're keeping Jeffrey the Giraffe employed, I'm stoked with it. Instead of buying huge stores, though, they're going to start with pop-up stores this holiday season. Jeffrey's Toy Box, yeah. And then down the road, they could bring back full-on Toys R Us and Babies R Us stores. Now you know. Have yourself an awesome one.